Hello, everybody. This is a new format. I'm trying a Zoom video, and my goal with the Zoom video is that perhaps some of you might find it better if you were actually see my face rather than just hear my voice. And so you're going to see me on the side, in the corner, probably in the top corner of your screen, but you'll notice that I'm on a green screen. That's the board that's behind me. It's a virtual background. And so if I look at you in the camera, as long as I don't move my hands too much and my face too much, it's actually okay. So let's give it a shot, see how it goes. If this does not prove to be effective for a lot of students, we can go back to the regular screencasting. So, okay, let's get into it. So ladies and gentlemen, as always, please reach out to me as you are going through the lessons. Make sure that you know what is being expected in each lesson. Remember, these are opportunities. These are not required. This is just instruction that's available to you if you need it. But please take care of yourself first. Take care of your family first. You are important. Your family is important. All of this stuff, however cool it might seem, will be here when we come back to school. So please take care of you first. For those that are able to get to it, we're be going into our fourth lesson. This is all first module. So module 1 is for every student. And the goal is that these are just the basics for music reading, for getting into the recorder, into the piano and the keyboards, so that when you look at your packet, you have an idea of what's to be expected. So I'll be doing another module as well for recorders and ORF instruments exclusively, and then I'll also be doing some lessons for my 3rd grade composition, those that are working on the composition projects, the composers. So our learning targets for this lesson are going to be dealing with using that knowledge that we've been talking about of the music staff, the ability to identify notes on the music staff, the ability to make sure that we understand that music moves line, space, line. Look at that, and then how we're trying to understand how music moves on the staff, and then how that is going to help us to really learn our pieces quickly. And specifically, when we're getting into our singing, how knowing that notes might be close together on the music staff might help us understand that when we sing them or when we play them, they're also going to be close together in pitch. So that's our goal. In our last lesson, I pointed to this video. This is an Irish gentleman, and he did a video on the treble clef. And the goal on the video was really just to introduce the treble clef, introduce the notes on the treble clef, and he uses this word stave, but in America, in our American English, we would say staff. So when you watch the video, he says stave, but really what we're talking about is staff. So we're gonna go ahead and just kind of tease a little bit of the video. You can find the video online by just going to this website here, or you can simply go to the treble clef, stave, and pitch. So here we go.
So we've learned that music has long and short sounds, but I'm sure you're aware that music also has higher and lower sounds. The pitch of a note tells us how high or low that note is. We show pitch by using a stave, a group of 5 lines and 4 spaces. Notes can be written on a line or in any space. Here's what notes look like when they're on the lines. And here's what they look like when they're in the spaces in between the lines. If we want to draw a note on a line, we need to make sure that the line goes straight through the center of the note head, like an arrow going through a person's head. This is correct. These are wrong. Same goes for notes in the spaces. They sit in between two neighboring lines, just touching them, but never overlapping them. Again, this is a beautiful looking note. These, well, not so much. Basically, be neat when you're drawing notes, or else there will be much confusion. Now, on its own, the stave doesn't really mean anything. We need to add in a clef.
Okay, so we watched about a third of the video, and you'll notice that it's just really engaging. He uses really simple artwork, but he does it in a very exciting and effective way. And if that is something that you're interested in, please check that out, because I think that that will be very helpful for some students. Now, going into what we're talking about in this lesson, we're getting into a two-part series on intervals, and the first part is on musical movement. Now, musical movement, in this case, is going to be dealing with understanding intervals, but we got to talk about what is an interval first. So an interval is the distance from one pitch to another pitch. And so here's one pitch. Here's the same pitch that I just played, the other pitch. And we're looking at what is that distance between those two. But in order to understand intervals, we have to also understand music scales. Now, music scales are simply organized sequences of notes. And when I say sequence, I mean ordered and predictable. Hey, Mr. Music. So if you recall, Mr. Music joined us in lesson 3, and he had a lot to tell us about the music staff. But I think today, Mr. Music, why don't you just listen? So you'll see Mr. Music kind of just listening, and you can have a chance to kind of just read what he has to say. So remember, music scales are ordered. So here we have a 1. And if we have an order to it, we're going to expect that eventually, if we have a 3, there's going to be some predictability. And so between the 1 and the 3, we're expecting there's probably going to be a 2. So we have the idea of 1, 2, 3. It's an ordered predictability. And let's just go ahead and turn that into music. So let's put 1 on the first line. If 1 is on the first line and we're going line, space, line, then 2 is going to be between the first and the second line, and 3 is going to be through the third line or the second line as well. So again, here we go, 1. So line, space, line, 1, 2, 3. And this would be the first part of a scale or a portion of a scale. So you notice that it's ordered, it's predictable, it's easy to know what's coming next. So when we're talking about the 3 ways that music moves, we have to remember that everything is connected to the musical alphabet. And so the musical alphabet is going to be those first 7 letters of the English alphabet. And so we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And you recall from previous videos that let's say that we put, let's get a different color. Let's say that we put, let's say that we put A on a line. So if we're following the way that the staff goes, here's our staff, and let's say that A is on a line, then B would be directly on the space above. So this would be space. And then we have line, space, line, space, line. Put a line there. So again, we have sequence, we have order, predictability. Now let's go ahead and let's get a different board. Let's get our music staff paper. And let's go ahead and draw. That's a very fat. Let's try that again. draw our treble clef. And our treble clef is going to tell us that we are going to be starting with the notes on the treble staff. And so remember, we started on A. So on the treble staff, A starts on the second space. And then we have line, because we have our predictability. Space, line, space, line, space. And this would be the musical alphabet in treble staff form, the way we would see it on the way that we would see it in music, on a notated in music. Okay. Now what happens when we get to this point right here? Well, we would just start over, just like we started with A, we eventually get to G, and we just keep on going up. So if I were to go ahead and notate all the way up the staff, say I start on this bottom one, so here's my treble clef again, and I were to start on A, so there's A, B, C, and I'm just going up the staff, line, space, line. So next is going to be a line, space, line, space, line, line, space, line. You can start to see how that all connects. And so it all goes up. And when we go up in music, we say we're ascending. And so you're going to hear me use the term ascending, ascending this, ascending that. And then when we go down, and you'll notice that these are all ascending. But if we went, let's get a new one. If we went down, okay, we would say that the notes are going down, and we would use the term descending. Now, these just come from English. Ascending and descending. Ascending means to raise or to rise up, to go up, and descend means to come down. So ascending and descending. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and get into what we're discussing with the three ways music moves. We now know that music moves line, space, or space, line, space, line. But what is that called? What do we just say line, space, line, space? No, we call it stepwise. And so again, let's say we started on A. Well, the next logical place that we were going to go would be to B, and then from B to C, and from C to D. And that's the idea, is that everything moves stepwise. So let's say that A starts on the line this time. Then if we're going stepwise, then it goes line, space, and then we are expecting another line, and then another space. So if I were to play that, it would sound something like this. So here's the line, here's the space, here's the line, here's the space. Okay, and if I were to notate that, on my board, we went A, B, C, D, E. And you'll notice that it goes stepwise up. So the way that we show that is we use this triangular, angular thing. And this mark means stepwise, stepwise. So if it's going up, then, and forgive me, I actually went the wrong way there. If it's going up, then we're actually going to go on top of the interval, not on the bottom. And we're going to go like that. So we have stepwise A to B, stepwise B to C, stepwise C to D, and stepwise D to E. Likewise, if we were to be going down, let's start at E. Let's spread them out just a little bit more. Okay. And so now we go underneath. So stepwise descending. So these are ascending, going up. These are descending. D to C, line to space. D to, or C to B, and then B to A. So these are descending now. They're going down. So stepwise motion is our first way that music moves. Very cool. Oh, Mr. Music, you're so funny. Mr. Music is blocking the words that say, by the way, 3 ways music moves on the staff. The next way the music moves on the staff is by leap. And I bet you can probably figure this out. So let's say we start with C, but if I were to go C and skip D and go immediately to E, this would be a leap. If I were to go C and skip D and E and go to F, this would be another leap. So let's say that C is a space note this time. We're going to skip that next line and we're going to go up to E, which is another space note. Or let's say that C is a space note and we want to go all the way up to F. And that's going to be a line note. So let's see what this looks like in practice. Let's get our staff paper out again. Let's create our treble clef. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to put C right there on that third space. And according to what we read, it was C, and then we skip right there, and we go to E. So we skip the middle. And then we had C, and we skip the middle again, and go to F. So here, we can see that we have in the markings that we're going to use is if it goes up, we're going to use that. And if it goes down, we're going to use that. So here we have an upwards leap motion. Okay. It goes from C to E. And then here we have a downwards leap motion, E back to C. And then here we have C all the way to the 5th line, and that goes to F. And so that would be an upwards leap motion. So remember, we could say ascending leap or descending leap. Ascending means we go up. And I really want us to get these terms down because they do come up later on when we start talking about intervals. And descending means we go down. So ascending going up, descending going down. And here we have an ascending leap followed by a descending leap and followed by a ascending leap. And then our final movement is what we call static. Now, if you look at my musical alphabet here, there's a mistake here, and I put it there for a reason. So let's say that you start on A, and A is a line note. And then you have stepwise motion for a little while in your line. So you're going A, and then to B, to C, to D, to E. And then let's say that you want to repeat E. That motion right there of repeating the note, that is called staticwise motion. The note stays the same. And the way that we notate that is we use the equal sign. Now, these are not official notations, but these are ways that I have identified these motions, and other teachers have identified them. So I teach my students this way because it seems that it really helps them understand them. So that's why I use these different markings. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this into practice. So if you recall, we talked about that we have, let's go put our treble clef in. So we said that we had A, B, C, D, and then we had a repeat right there of E to E. And so let's go ahead and just see if we can remember the motions that we've talked about. So A to B, that's going to be stepwise ascending. B to C, that's line to space, that's stepwise ascending. C to D, stepwise ascending. D to E, stepwise ascending. And then we get to this point right here. And we can say that moving from one note to the same note, that's called static wise motion. So let's say that we have a line in our music and it looks something like this. Okay, how would we analyze that? I'll give you a second to look at it. Okay, let's get into it. So we have A to B. A to B is space to line. So we know that that is stepwise ascending. And then we have B to E. B to E, that is a leap. B all the way to the fourth space is E. And then we have E to E, that's static. And then we go down. Oh, I made a mistake. There we go. E to D is space to line, and then B to A is space to line. So we're curious about how that might sound. It might sound like this. I'll play one more time. And you can hear that repeated note. Now, why is this important? Well, it's important because if we know as we're playing that these two notes are stepwise, then we know that when we play them, they're going to be close together. And then we also know that the next two notes are not close together. So if we were to practice this and play it like this, if we look at the music, that's not correct because that's all. What that would be is that would be that note right there, A, B, C, but the note goes all the way up to E. So we have to know it's going to be a big leap. And then the next note is repeated down. So the reason why this is helpful is because it helps us get to understand the idea of predictability and organization, that music is not just a bunch of pitches that are just thrown everywhere. There's some order and organization to it. And most melodies are singable because they make sense. So as you are practicing, ask yourself that question. Does it make sense? Does it sound the way that I would think it should sound? And sometimes you won't know just because you're not familiar with the piece, but most of the time, you'll be able to say, yeah, well, those notes should be closer together because of the way they show in the staff. Let's look at some examples. Okay, here is a 4-bar piece. Now this is just a small piece from another song that we have. Now before we go any further, let's go ahead and do a little review, and let's talk about this right here. Now, according to our second video of this module, we talked about time signatures, and that's what this is. A time signature is what it's the marking that's put by the composer or the writer of the piece that tells us how to perform the piece correctly in time. Okay, so it gives us the marking for the beat, and it gives us the marking for the number of beats in each measure. So the top number tells us the number of beats in each measure, and we just read the number, and that number is 4. So for this, we would say 4 beats per measure. And then the bottom number, if you recall from my second video, when we talked about when you have a 4 on the bottom, then you know that that's going to be the quarter note getting that beat. So top number, 4 beats per measure, bottom number tells us the quarter note gets the beat. And so as we go into this piece, we should be able to see that if we were to write in our counting, let's do that really quickly. If we were to write in our counting, then it would all add up. So we have 1 beat, 2 beats, because those are quarter notes. And then we have our half note. Half note gets, it's equal to 2 quarter notes, so that'd be 2 beats. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have a measure line, so we're going to start over our counting back to 1, 2, half note, 3. The dash means we carry it through because it's 2 beats. We have another measure line. And so we start over our counting, 2, 3, 4. Another measure line, start over counting, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how we would write in our counting. While we're at it, let's go ahead and put in our note names, and let's do those in purple. So if you recall, Eagles go, so that second line is G. So it's going to be G, and then it goes line space. Next is going to be A, and then we have a line again. Eagles go bald, and then we have A again, second space, second line G, second space A, G, A, B, and we can just keep on going. Excuse me, sorry about that. So we have our names of our notes, we have our counting. Now we just have to identify what are the music movement ways that the music is moving in this piece. So looking at this piece, we can immediately see that it starts line, space, line. And so we can immediately say that this is stepwise, space to line is stepwise. And even here, we have a descending. So those were ascending, these are descending stepwise. Descending stepwise. Ascending stepwise, it's going line to space. And then we have descending again, going down. We have A to G, or space to line. And then we have ascending again, G to A to B. And then we have, again, descending stepwise. Oh, you know what? I messed those up. Let me go back. Let's see. I did something wrong. Mr. Lanning. Oh, Mr. Lanning did the whole thing wrong. Okay, there we go. I bet you were very confused. Sorry about that. There we go. And then these are going down, ascending, ascending. You know, and before you know it, you're going to be doing this really without much thinking because it just becomes second nature to you. Okay, now we have a problem or an opportunity, not a problem. There we have line to line, and we have stepwise, 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 and then we have something going on here. And so we cannot say it's stepwise anymore. It's something else. And we have B to B. B is a line note, and it's skipping a space and going to another line. So let's use our downward marking for leap. So the predominant movement, the main movement of this piece is ascending stepwise motion and descending stepwise motion. Ascending meaning going up and descending meaning going down. But at the end, there is a descending leap. Okay, let's try one more. Here's our piece. Now, immediately we're presented with a challenge because this time signature we've never seen before. There it is right there. And this gives me an opportunity to kind of talk to you about this idea of C. So a long, long time ago when we had kings, queens, but even just a little bit after that, we had big armies. And those big armies would go into war or into battle, and they would have a band that would be marching with them. That's where we get the idea of the marching band. And so these marching bands always played in the same time. And that time, over time, became known as common time. Now, what is common time? Well, common time is marching time. And so if you march, you go bump, 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 bump. Those are my feet moving. Bump, 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 bump. Well, if you count it, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we know that the top number of our common time is 4. And then we know that each of those marching of the feet is 1 beat each. And so there are 4, and the quarter note is going to be getting the beat. So we actually do know common time. We just have never referred to it as common time. We usually just refer to it as 4/4. Okay, so what is this? This is just our 4 beats to a measure. Quarter note gets our beats. 4 BPM. Quarter note gets 1 beat. There it is. Let's write in our counting. Let's see if you can beat me. I'm going to go ahead and just put it in, and let's see if you can beat me. 3, 2, 1, go. Did you get it? Yeah, we ran into a problem, didn't we? Okay, so here's the thing that we ran into. We ran into a problem with this figure right here. Okay, now that figure can also be written like this. So what are they? They're basically just 2/8 notes. Okay, and so if you recall from our second lesson, and I think I went into it in the third lesson too, each of those notes, 2 of them, is equal to a quarter note. Now, a quarter note gets 1 beat. So remember that each of these is a half note. I'm sorry, each of these is half a beat, okay? And so 2 halves, just like I have a pie, and I give part of my pie to one part of my family, and then I give another part to the other part of the family. How much did they eat? They ate the entire pie, so everyone ate 1 whole pie. That's the idea. So here's one half of the pie. Here's another half of the pie. And one family member or family group eats one family group eats the other. And then how much did they eat? They ate the entire pie. Okay. So the way that we notate this in music is instead of going, let's say this is beat 1, instead of saying 1, that's just part of it. Okay. So we have to do something else. In music, we use this plus symbol and we say and. Okay. So this plus symbol that we use, for whatever reason, that is what we use, and we say and. So the way we would notate it here is we go 1, 2, 3, and, write that again, 3 and 4. So I would play that by going like this: 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you recall from my class last year, we talked about how certain notes are slow and then certain notes are quick. And the reason why certain notes are slower than others is because they have more time that's given to them. So a quarter note gets 1 beat, while an eighth note only gets half a beat. So it's going to be a faster beat than the quarter note. So the quarter note is 1. The eighth note would be 1. Okay. And when we have 2 together, it'd be 1 and. So that's the idea. Let's go ahead and finish out our note names. So our note names for this, let's get rid of this here. So our note names for this are G, E, and then we have G again, E. See if you can beat me. There we go. So if I were to play that, it would sound like this: G, E, G, E, G, E, G, G, E, G, E, G, G, E. If I were to count it and play it, it would sound like this: 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? All right. Now let's go ahead and put in our ways that music moves. So here we go. Let's get right to it. Okay, so the first thing we see, and you guys, I'm going to go ahead and erase. Let's start with a new sheet. Okay, so the first thing that I see is I see that there is a downward leap because it goes line to line. This is on a line, this is on a line, goes line to line. And then we have an upward leap, line to line again. And then we have static motion. We have a downward leap, upward leap, downward leap, and we call it ascending, descending. Here's an ascending going up. Here's a descending going down. In between, when I say in between, I'm talking about those 2 notes. Same thing here. We have static motion. And then we have E to G. That's going to be an upward leap, downward leap, upward leap, static motion, and then downward leap. There we go. So we have 3 places where there's static motion, and the rest is going to be predominantly leap movement. Okay, so how is that going for you? Let me know. Before I sign off, let's go ahead and just do some review real quick. Remember, there's 3 ways that music moves. First one is by stepwise motion. This is ascending here, ascending stepwise. The next way is by leap. Here's a descending leap going down. And here is the third way, which is static motion, and followed by a descending leap. Okay? All right, everyone, thank you very much. And I hope that this was helpful for you. I look forward to seeing you when I see you. If you have any questions, email me. And until next time, goodbye.